Welcome to our session today within the College of Education. We are super excited that you all are here just to get some more information, and we hope to be able to provide that and also to answer any of your questions. We do have a short presentation for you today. And just to give you just a little bit more detail about just a little snippet of what college education is all about. Again, we are glad to have you. My name is Brittany Allen. I work in the office of, we changed the name, the Center for Student Success in Educator Engagement. And that's pretty much what our office does, is to make sure that you are successful during your time at North Carolina A&T. So our goal is to get you in and to get you out with a job, or either into a master's program if you want to continue your education. And also we have Dr. Geraldine Patterson. I'll let her introduce herself and then we'll get started with the presentation.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Patterson. I am the chair of the Department of Educator Preparation at North Carolina A&T State University. I'm happy that you have decided to join us this afternoon to learn more about the profession of education. And I think we're going to jump right into the presentation. So what we call ourselves is Aggie educators. And the reason we call ourselves Aggie educators is because we believe that at A&T, Aggies do, and Aggie educators do and do more. If we can get the next slide. We work through a conceptual framework. And what a conceptual framework is basically kind of like when you put on shades and the glare is off, or it's not so bright anymore, and that's how you see the world, and that filters how you see things. That's what a conceptual framework is. It's our guiding principles, how we make decisions and why we choose to make certain strategies the focus of the work that we do. So if you look at that conceptual framework, you will see that it's a circle, right? And that it is aligned with certain things: equity, access, and advocacy. So equity means that students get what they need in order to be successful, but it may not be the exact same thing. So equity, not equal, right? You get what you need to be successful. Access, that you have doors that are open to you and that you have opportunities to go forth and be successful. And then advocacy, whereas you understand the power of your voice and how to use your voice to implement change in your classroom or in your school setting. And then you notice kind of in the background of all of this is this idea of transformation. So when we focus on equity, access, and advocacy, then we transform. We transform learning. We transform the practice. That means what actually happens in the classrooms and in our schools. And we transform the profession, what it means to be an educator. And I need for you all to understand that that transform really aligns with Aggie's do. So I was a high school English teacher. And if you know anything about high school English teachers, we really love grammar. And so this idea of do being an action verb, or transform or transformation being an action verb. So that goes back to this kind of saying that I'm sure you all have heard, and I'm probably too old to say it, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Don't be about it. Don't talk about it, be about it. See how I messed it up? Don't talk about it, be about it, right? So that's what we mean by Aggie's do in our conceptual framework. Next slide, please. And so what does it mean to be an Aggie educator? So if you were to come into A&T and decide education was going to be your major, it basically means that when you become a teacher and as you go through our program, we can tell who you are based on how you demonstrate these competencies. So how you walk, how you talk, how you think, how you problem solve. When you go into people's schools, they'll be, you must have gone to A&T. Because I can tell by the way you're making decisions, by the way you show up in the room, by the way you engage, that you are an Aggie educator. And basically we took Aggies and we made an acronym. So the first letter stands for something. And the A is for an assessment leader for continuous improvement. So that means you use data and information to make learning better, and you get better every time with that information. A global thinker. So that means you're not stuck in the past. If you came to this program and you're thinking about education, it's probably because you either had a really great teacher and you said, I can do this and I want to be a great teacher too, or you had a really bad teacher who was stuck in the past and you said, come on, we're in the 21st century, we can do better than this. So Aggie educators are global thinkers. They're also galvanizing visionaries. In other words, they make things happen. They have a vision, they set a goal, and they reach an outcome. They're inclusive agents of change. That means they understand and they are appreciative of all that children bring from their backgrounds and their academic abilities. We already talked about equity before, but we're equitable educators and we advocate for the students in and out of our classrooms. And then we are transformative scholars, where we transform learning through research, reflection, and decision-making. I want to stop right there on this term scholars, because I think a lot of times folks will say, well, why are you going into teaching? Teaching is a scholarship and it is a profession. We want the best of the best and the brightest of the brightest to come in and to be able to transform. That means change, right? Really implement some changes in our schools. And we know that if you're here today, that you have the potential to do that. So thank you for listening about what it means to be an Aggie educator. Next slide, please. So some of the programs that we have at North Carolina A&T State in our undergraduate program, we have our elementary education program. So that means if you want to be a kindergartner through 5th grade teacher, it goes through K-6 actually, but it's an elementary education program. We also have elementary with a dual license in special education. This makes you extremely marketable because you can be an elementary classroom teacher, but you can also be a special education teacher. It does mean you would take a few more classes and do a few more field experiences, but you would be dually licensed. We have early education and family studies. So this is birth through kindergarten. If you're interested in that, working with, the babies and really young kids or in daycare settings. We have ag ed, art education, music education, and then our secondary education programs are English education, that was me, high school English teacher, history education, and then our STEM concentrations are biology, chemistry, physics, and math. Secondary means you get a license for 9 through 12. So note that we have elementary, we have BK, birth through kindergarten, elementary K through 6, and then we have secondary 9 through 12 and all of those concentrations. So let's talk about the admissions requirements quickly. Next slide. So it's the high school North Carolina curriculum admission requirements: 4 units of English, 4 units of math, 3 units of a science, 2 units of social studies, and 2 units of a foreign language. Again, we know that if you are coming to A&T, that you are coming because you want to excel academically. So I'm sure that none of these requirements will be an issue for any of you. Next slide, please. So we're going to talk a little bit about scholarships, and I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Allen because she's really great at sharing this information and all of the options that we have for scholarships. Ms. Allen?
Thank you. And if any of you all have any questions during this time, please utilize the chat feature as well. So I know we just gave you a lot of information and we still have some more to come. So yes, if you have questions, make sure that you put them in the chat and we can answer them for you. Okay, so moving on to scholarships. So we talked about the College of Education, also what it takes to get into the College of Education. So the next thing is, how can we pay to go to school? We do have a couple of grants. One of our most popular one is our Teach Grant. And with the Teach Grant, you do just have to meet those basic eligibility criteria, which we already just discussed, and also to make sure you fill out your FAFSA form. As an undergrad, I cannot talk this morning, I'm so sorry, the undergraduate student, you are eligible for the Teach Grant, but the great thing about the Teach Grant is that they will agree to pay for your tuition for the 4 years that you are in the undergraduate program. You have to maintain a GPA of 3.25, but in turn, they are asking that you teach for 4 years. And the areas that they want you to teach in is in a high need field, and also at a school or educational service agency that serves students from low income families, which is usually kind of like what's considered like your Title I schools. And like I say, you're teaching for those 4 years, and you have 8 years to actually to complete the 4 years. So even if you decided you wanted to, once you graduate, go straight to the master's program, you still have time to make up those 4 years in order to quote unquote pay back what they had given you as far as what paying your tuition up front for you. You can go to the next slide. We do have other scholarships available within the College of Education that covers a lot of your tuition, including our Corning Scholarship. our curriculum associate scholarship, and those two are actually the next Schusterman Scholarship are the three newest scholarships we received to the College of Education. So it's been a lot of great funding that's been coming to us because society is now really truly seeing the importance of having teachers and how they truly make the world go round and make such an impact, especially with how everything had to switch over with COVID. I believe that people got a better appreciation of all of what teachers do. We also have a Hattie M. Strong Scholarship, and as well as other College of Education Endowment Awards that we've received throughout the year. A lot of these scholarships do require a separate application, but we do send those out to the students, and they're 9 times out of 10 will come from me, Brittany Allen, and I will send those applications out to you. Once you fill those out, then we'll see what your eligibility is, but there is funding available. Now, they're all not full ride scholarships. The university has several full ride scholarships that you would apply for. But I believe you have the deadline for those scholarships is in November. So if you're planning to attend in the fall, you would have already had to apply for those scholarships. And a lot of those are through our honors program. But in the event that you weren't selected for those scholarships, there are other scholarships that you can apply for. But it will take you actually filling out the application. Well, first actually opening and reading your emails, filling out the application. And then if you have any questions, definitely come to the student success area so that we can help you and guide you which way to go.
Ms. Allen, in the chat, there were questions about how did you apply for the grant scholarships? I put in your email address that they can
yes,
email
that
you
will work. And once you are admitted to the university, then you can start to apply. So just please email me and let me know your status and if you've been admitted and what your program is. Like I said, Dr. Patterson put it in as bcwillis at ncat.edu, and then we can see what you are eligible. Yes, I believe international students are eligible to apply. We haven't received any type of stipulations on that, but I will double check, but I'm not aware of any stipulation on our international students, especially if you're already admitted into the university. Any other questions? Yes, and thank you for those. So at this portion, we just want to talk a little about just show you some of our Aggie educator experiences. Now that things are kind of slowing down some with COVID, a lot of these pictures, of course, pre-COVID, but we do want to make sure that you have an all-around experience. It is not just, in the books, go to class, in the books, we have different organizations. Our students come together. As you can see, they had some time out there with the chalkboard on the sidewalk. We had Dr. Harold Martin, as you can see, our chancellor of the university. He has come out to read to our students. He's involved to come with the classes. You, as students, you go into the classrooms very early in your field. So we don't have you just reading the books and sitting there. We want you to get that experience extremely early, because that's how you become prepared. That's how you become the excellent Aggie educators that our school systems know you all and know what's to bring and to be. So don't just think that you won't go into your classroom until your senior year. No, you will start going and getting the classroom experience early as your second semester of your freshman year. Next slide. And Ariana, the email is in the chat. I just saw your question pop up. Dr. Patterson put it there, bcwillis@ncat.edu. All righty. And then just coming to how we celebrate together. Like I said, once before COVID, we will always try to have different type of study breaks. We will have different programs just so that you can get to know your fellow cohorts better, but also just to wind down some, because I said, of course, we want you in your books, but we want to make sure that you have an all-around experience and that you are well-balanced in your book skills as well as your social skills. So we do try to celebrate together every chance that we get, because we also understand the importance of recognition and want to let you know that you are doing a great job throughout those 4 years, because it's a entirely different experience. It's a different world, truly, but we want to let you know that you do have the support of the faculty and staff in the area. Next slide. We learn and we grow together. As I mentioned before, we get you in the field extremely early. That is what's considered to be our labs. Other programs may have a lab that you may go here, or chemistry lab or biology lab, and that you're learning these things in the lab. Our classroom, or the classroom time that you have, is what our labs are. So we want to make sure that you have that experience to learn and grow together. And as you can see, our faculty is very involved in that as well. So you will not be alone and not just thrown into the classroom. We will definitely guide you along the way. Next slide. We travel and have new experiences together. So like I said, before COVID, we had several study abroad opportunities. I had the chance to go with the students to Belize. This is where we are in the top left picture. So we had the opportunity to go to Belize for 7 days, where the students were able to go into, we went to a school and they were able to go into the classrooms and just to get that experience and outside of what, is offered in the US, but just to kind of see also, for one, how fortunate we are here, but also, again, like, diversity is very important. You will encounter students who are from different cultures than what you are accustomed to. So we want to make sure that our students do get that experience. They've been to the Cherokee Elementary School. They have been to Puerto Rico. They've been to the Dominican Republic. They've been to Greece. Pretty much such wonderful places to go abroad. And those opportunities are available to our students. And most importantly, we graduate together. Like I had mentioned earlier, that is our main goal here, as far as with the faculty and the staff, to make sure that you are successful in getting to walk across that stage in your cap and gown in front of your family and friends to show off your accomplishment. So that is our main goal, is to get you here to that finish line. All right, and we're opening up to some more questions.
So Ms. Allen, there was a question from Jessica about early childhood. When do we get a chance to work hands-on with kids? So Jessica, and for the other students who are attending, the program is set up by PLCs. So kind of step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Typically your freshman year or your first year as a student here, even if you're a transfer student, you're taking your general education courses, getting acclimated to the university, and you're taking 2 basic introductory education classes that just kind of introduce you to the profession and make sure that this is what you want to do. Y'all, teaching is a blast. It is so much fun. And if you have to do a job, like once I realized, like, you have to wake up and go to work every day and work to pay your bills, it might as well be fun. But it also might as well be meaningful, right? Give you a purpose for when you wake up in the morning. And interacting with kids and young adults is a wonderful way to fulfill a sense of purpose as you're also making an income. But we start you off by making sure that that's what you want to do, because it's fun and it's meaningful, but it's also challenging. Things that are hard are really worth doing usually. And they are filled with challenges. So we start you off with those introductory classes. And then by your second step, as a sophomore or so, you start getting integrated in what Ms. Allen called those labs. We call those field experiences, where you're in actual settings with real kids and you are engaging with them. Those settings and those experiences vary based on your program, whether you're in BK or elementary ed or elementary ed special ed or our secondary programs. And so they vary based on that. But typically most students are actually out in the field engaging with their level of students around sophomore year. And then that continues every single semester that you're in the program. So I hope I answered your question, Jessica. And then Ms. Graves, you asked, how is elementary education for transfer students? It's fantastic, right? When you transfer into the university, there's an audit that's done of your record to kind of see where you are and what transferred over. That's handled by the registrar and it's officially done by them. And then you're assigned an official advisor from the education program. And then we make sure that we look at that, what's left for you to take, what came in officially, what's left for you to take, get you with an advisor and get you into those classrooms. And sometimes you can do step 1 and step 2 really quickly to move on through the program. It just kind of depends on where you came from, what you brought in, and what your needs are. And so we work very closely with all of our students. Every student in the education program has an advisor that they can reach out to and ask questions, and that they're also required to meet with every semester before they register for classes and get their registration pin. So we're very hands-on.
And I think you kind of answered Ms. Sneed's question too. If she's already completed teacher education courses, do you start from the beginning? So once we evaluate to see what the courses are, then that will determine where you would start with us. Ms. Sneed. I'm going back through. Okay, next question is from Ms. Miners. My interest is to teach 21st century history, but also African-American studies. So how would that look like in terms of classes that I take? Do I minor in African-American studies? I would say that she could minor in African-American studies. She takes history education. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, I think she would need to, I guess my question is, I'm guessing you want to teach high school history? And so, sure, you could minor in African-American studies. Mm-hmm. You would need to work closely with the history program coordinator, who would be your advisor, just to ensure that you're getting all the classes that you need. The next question, how is the testing that is needed to take to become an elementary education teacher? That's a great question. There are lots of professions, and it's not just teaching, where you have to demonstrate proficiency and take some tests before you can move on to the next level. And education is not different, right? Because you don't want just anybody in there teaching the kids, right? We want to make sure we have some gateways. So there are some tests that students are required to take. The first one is when you first begin the program. It's called the Praxis 1 Core. It's a basic reading, writing, and math test that's about an 8th grade competency. Some students have SAT or ACT scores that make them exempt from taking the test. But right now, everybody either has to have exempt scores, or they have to take the Praxis 1 and provide passing scores. And y'all, I want to say this, that's not just at A&T, that's anywhere you go into an education program in the UNC system. So any college you're going to and you want to be a teacher in North Carolina, these are the requirements that you have to meet. Fortunately, you're coming to A&T, so we have a course that helps to prepare you if you don't have exempt scores, because most students don't. If you don't have exempt scores, we give you the support that you need. We prepare you for the test so that you can take the test. We even include the voucher for the test, so you're not even paying for the test, so that you can take the test and move forward. So that's the first test. You go through the program, you take the test, you get in, you have your 2.8 or higher GPA, you're officially admitted into the Educator Prep program. That means you absolutely know for sure you're going to be a teacher. You're taking our classes. There's another set of tests that are now more specific based on your level. So you have to take the elementary foundations of reading test, because who wants a reading teacher? Who wants an elementary school teacher that can't teach reading? No, that's where you learn how to read. So there's a foundations of readings test, and there's the mathematics test that all students take that they have to pass. We also provide support for that. We have boot camps. We have classes that teach the science of reading, teach you the mathematics content, and pedagogical, fancy way of how to teach. Pedagogy is called how to teach. That's just a fancy way of saying it. How to teach math. Like, we provide that support so that you can take those tests and pass them. So those are the ones that you take usually in your junior year, right before you're about to start student teaching. And then, fortunately, because the state of North Carolina wants to absolutely be sure that you're ready, there's a final portfolio that's called EdTPA that everybody has to take, not just the students at A&T, anybody in the state of North Carolina. It's basically a teaching portfolio. You videotape yourself teaching where you're out in the field, student teaching. You write up some essays talking about what you're doing in the classroom, analyzing it, talking about, this is why I gave this assignment. This is how I dealt with diverse learners. This is how I used information to improve their instruction. You submit it off into a portal, you get some passing scores back, and then you are done with all of your testing requirements. I know it sounded like a lot, because it is a lot. But the truth is, you'll be prepared to be able to do all of it. And you don't do it all at one time. You do it as you're going through the program with our support so that you can be successful. And you will be. You will pass. We graduate students every single semester. Most of them have job offers before they finish student teaching because we put out amazing, great teachers. If you don't want to be a great teacher, choose another major, because that is what we're looking for in our program. A&T is number one for a reason. And if you're coming into our program, the expectation is that you are going to help us keep our number one status and remain in that number one position. So if this ain't for you, decide that now and choose something else. But if it is, if you're up to the challenge, if you really want a job that's meaningful and fun and to work with kids and to really be a part of really impacting somebody's life for the better for a while, you don't have to teach forever. I was a high school English teacher. I'm not a high school English teacher anymore, right? You don't have to do this forever. This is really meaningful work that will provide you with an opportunity to learn so much about yourself, learn about how to interact with other folks, learn how to really explain information in a way that folks can process it so that you can go on to be teacher of the year, remain in the teaching profession for 30 years, become a school counselor, become a school speech pathologist, become a middle school administrator, become a superintendent, become a professor. Like, it is a great way to join a profession where you can make a difference in people's lives. So
profession of endless opportunities is what I say.
Any other questions in there? How's the testing?
How hard is it to find a job? Well, that's a great question. I was just going to say that too. It's not hard at all because of the resources that we provide for you. A&T has one of the largest career fairs in the state of North Carolina. So there's a career fair that's an option for you as well. But the College of Education, we have our own career fair outside of the one that A&T has. So we have different school systems because they are constantly reaching out to us because of the caliber of students that we present to them year after year. So we came together with our career services department, and we have our own program. Each year is usually held in the spring. And then outside of that, again, there are school systems reaching out from everywhere, not just in North Carolina. We have New York, we have Virginia, we have Texas, just pretty much all over that reach out. They want to do like one-on-ones. They want to come to the school to set up, to speak with the students. And a lot of times they offer jobs on the spot. You assign your contract, a little early. And once you graduate, you're just committing to go into work for them. So when I say it's not hard at all, I'm not trying to, gas you up, but it's literally, if you don't have a job or
because you
decide to go into the field when you graduate, that was on you. Like, literally, we even have a partnership with Guilford County Schools, which is literally down the street. So they are always looking to recruit our students. So it's not hard at all. If, like I said, if you don't, that's because you didn't show up to anything that we offered.
Yeah, you won't meet anybody that graduated from our program that doesn't have a job.
Yeah, we've had 100% rate for probably the last, maybe 4 or 5 years. So
yeah. I think the better question, Jessica, is which job am I going to take?
Yeah,
because you will have options, and so it'll be just a matter of what is the best fit for me. That's what I tell students, like, figure out what's a good fit for you. Do you want to be in a big city like Charlotte? Do you want to stay in Greensboro? Do you want to go to a different state? Like, what's going to be the best option for you? But finding a job and securing a job will not be an issue for you.
No, not at all. Okay, you all had some great questions. I was trying to see if anything else come up in the chat. We might be done. Okay. And again, I'll put my email address here once again. Oops, my screen went away. If you all have any additional questions, if you want more of a one-on-one session or like a Zoom session, just email me. We can set that up too if you wanted to ask, more one-on-one questions. But we are here to assist you. There's our phone number on the screen as well. That's directly to my office, 334-7663. Take a picture of that as well. And like I said, we are here to assist you, and we look forward to meeting you all in the fall.